Amen. All right. We'll review a little bit quickly. Galatians 5:22. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law. And we talked about faithfulness. It's really usually translated just as faith, belief and trust, with an implication that actions based on that trust will follow. Now, faith isn't blind. Joshua and Caleb, when they went to the promised land, they saw the giants, but they also saw the giant grapes. David, he saw Goliath, but he also saw the reward. He also saw that God was faithful. He saw that God can do it. God has done it before. Remember when he said, you know what? God was faithful with the lion and the bear, and he delivered me then, and he's going to deliver me now. But you know what's different? See, a lot of times we get comfortable with our lion and bear faith. So we got faith for another lion and bear. But we got to leverage that faith for the next big thing that God has us to believe for. See, that's what he did. See, because you know what? The giant is scarier than the bear. Right? And maybe the lion is scarier than the bear. And he worked his way up because he trusted God and saw God do a miracle right there. And now he was able to trust God for a bigger miracle. See, sometimes we're like, oh, God, I just got through believing you in this. You know what? He's going to increase our faith. Amen? We can trust him. We trust him with our souls, so we can trust him with our kids, with our families, with our jobs, with our finances, with everything. We can trust him. And faith isn't something, like you were saying, it's not some vague term or something. It has a source. God is the source of faith. And it has an object. Jesus is the object of our faith. I like what Corrie ten Boom said. Faith hears the inaudible, sees the invisible, believes the incredible, and receives the impossible. That's good. Amen? And today I want to talk about the next fruit, which is gentleness. And sometimes it's translated in meekness. How many have ever heard meekness? How many know what the word meekness means, right? It's not really something we say very much. Hey, what's up, meek? It's not something we use a lot. It means gentleness, humility. Another translation says exercising God's strength under his control, demonstrating power without undue harshness. If you've been in the church more than 10 years, you've heard meekness isn't weakness, right? It's almost cliche. I almost didn't want to say it because it's been said. But how many have ever heard that? How many never heard that? How many won't raise your hand no matter what I say? I use that joke once a month. I think you're laughing anyway. All right. Meekness isn't weakness. It's not. I put this in for you, Rick. See, meekness isn't like Les Nessman from WKRP in Cincinnati, right? See, he's the only one that got that joke, but that was for you. See, he was like this kind of like this like cowering nerd, and like, that's not meekness. Gentleness and meekness is so much more even than just power under control. Meekness also isn't a person because it's like power under control. It's not like this. Okay, I'm holding back. That's not meekness either. It's great strength, but it's like a surgeon. Surgeon's doing surgery on somebody, right? They got sharp knives. They got the strength to just slash that guy open. But they're not doing that, right? Why? Because they're doing surgery. Those knives are really, could cause a lot more damage than they do. They could just go right in there, but they just gently cut open the incision and they pull it back gently. Why? Because they don't want to damage the rest of the body. They use precision with their strength and with their power and with the cutting as to not hurt the body, but to use the cutting for healing. That is gentleness. And it's also connected with humility and patience. Ephesians 4:1 says, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. See, I like that. See, gentleness is surrounded with two things. It's surrounded with patience and humility on both sides. I like how he puts that there because you know what? It's pretty hard to be gentle when we're in a rush. You ever break something because you were in a rush? It's like, and smash, and you're like, oh. I'd be doing my eBay stuff, and I remember I had this lamp, and I bought it because they had the nice milk glass top with it, which is the hard part to find because they always break. And I didn't want to take the time to remove it and do the way I went. And I went and moved the lamp, and the top fell off and it smashed. And why? Because I was in a hurry, and I wasn't gentle. And the same thing when we have pride. You know, when somebody is like insults our pride, it's hard to be gentle, right? I remember one time, this is years ago, I was at Gateway, we were having a fall festival. Joanna's already laughing, she don't even know the story yet, but because I know it's going to be good because of your pride, right? Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Gateway, she's smiling because of that Gateway. But, so anyway, we're at this fall festival, and I'm walking and I hear this little kid, and he's like, Pastor John, Pastor John! And I love kids. Look at him, look at that little baby right there. Isn't she cute? Oh, she looks so cute. All right, now stop looking at the baby. Come on, I'm preaching, I'm trying to preach. And so he's like, Pastor John, I love kids. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, hey, I know it was you, Pastor John, because I can tell from your bald spot. And you can laugh, it's supposed to be funny. And it wasn't as bad back then. I was still in denial back then. And I'm like, bald spot? And like, I was hugging this kid, and I'm like, go to your daddy, you little brat. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But I did think it. And I did find that I didn't feel so gentle and loving all of a sudden. Why? Only because my pride was insulted. Right? You ever somebody that kind of hurt your feelings, or they step on your toe or something like that? You know, when we have this kind of depth of humility, it doesn't stop us from being gentle and kind and loving and expressing the love of Christ. Matthew 11:28 says this, come to me all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. This is Jesus. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. I am gentle and lowly in heart. Lowly in heart speaks of humility. And you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. See, Jesus was gentle. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking of the different times that Jesus was gentle. And I was like, you know, what about when he cleansed the temple? Because that don't seem very gentle, right? You know the story of Jesus cleansing the temple, right? And he went in there, and you know, and there's all these people in the temple, and they're selling stuff, and people are going in and trying to worship God, and they're making it difficult for people to worship God, right? And so I think he's totally justified for sure, right? I remember one time I was at a conference, and I look and I see all these books and stuff for sale, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, what would Jesus do? You know, kind of like you see these things that says, you know, stuff like, you know, 5 easy steps, you know, to your destiny, $49.95, you know, the 1 key to saving your marriage, $99.95, merchandising the gospel, priceless, you know. It's like, you know, I'm like, what? You know, Paul didn't sell his letters to the churches. Imagine now if he sold them, hey, if you get this, you'll get 2 Corinthians for half price. You know? I'm like, man, sometimes I want to go in there, I want to like flip the tables in one of these conferences, you know? I understand, I'm okay with selling books, you follow me? But I'm just saying, I kind of thought about it one time at a conference, my buddy and I were talking. I was like, man, I think we'd probably just get arrested, that's all that would happen. No revival. But anyway, Jesus did that. And it was like, how is that gentle? Well, one, he didn't lose his temper. Jesus didn't get ticked off one day and do it. He actually was premeditated because it talks about him going and making a whip, and so he did this in advance. So it was premeditated. But that still don't really make it gentle, right? But what is gentleness? It's power under control. Okay, but now let's look at it this way. He's the God of the universe. He created everything. He speaks to the storm, and he heals, and he does this. And he could have just snapped his fingers, and they all would have been vaporized. Fire could have come down from heaven. I mean, they were pretty bad what they were doing. They were blocking people from approaching God, which is like the main thing God wants is us to come to him and have a relationship with him, right? That's what he wants. That's what it's all about. And they were stopping that. And so if you look at the power that he had, he could have been like, just vaporize it. All right, don't mind the ash, everybody. Go ahead on.
Yeah,
you know. But instead, he just cleared out. He's like, everybody out, let's go. So in a way, it was gentle. Maybe gentleness doesn't always look like gentleness. But his heart was because of compassion for those that wanted to seek God. Amen?
Amen.
And I got plenty of proof other times when you could see the gentleness that he had. We talked about the woman caught in the act of adultery and how he spoke to her and how he talked to her, and he said, and he got rid of all the people who were condemning her, and he's like, here, just, go and don't sin anymore. He showed her love and compassion. I remember another thing, and this will make sense in a second. I remember when I was a teenager, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I remember going to this service, and someone was like, there's a prophet. This is the prophet service, prophetic service. And this prophet will see things and hear things from God, and they'll know stuff about people, and God will tell them things, and just all kinds of stuff. We call it in Pentecostal circles, read their mail, and so I was like, I don't want to go to that service. I don't want God telling them something about me, man, because I'm sitting in the back, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what they're going to say. I'm a teenager, and I was a little nervous. So I was like, didn't want to make any eye contact, because, sometimes they call people out. They're like, you, sir, young man, stand up. And they prophesy. You don't know what it's going to be. I remember going to one, and it was like there was a husband and wife team, and the wife was really nice, and she would always say good things. The husband would be like, you have a sin of fill in the blank, and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my gosh. Now, I think he was a little bit off, but you know what? That's scary. Right? That's scary. But so think of Jesus now. Jesus has all this power and more. He spoke to the dead, and they came to life. He spoke to the deaf, and they heard. He spoke to the storm, and it ceased. And he spoke to people, and they weren't scared of him. Think about that for a minute. All the power that Jesus had, he had pride. He would discern people's hearts. He would know. And we see how he corrected people sometimes, and we see how he pointed things out. And even with all of that, they still sinners liked being around Jesus. And it wasn't because he compromised. It wasn't because he was like the seeker-sensitive guy and was like, oh yeah, sinners okay, cheat on your wife, yeah, no problem. No, he's not like that at all. He's challenging. So it's like, why? They didn't want to be around the Pharisees. They didn't like the religious people. And they had kind of like the same, as supposedly the same thing, but they liked being around Jesus. And he didn't compromise his message. What was it? He was gentle. And you see how he expresses it. He expresses the heart, a gentle heart of love and forgiveness in his parables and his teachings and in everything, because they felt safe to be around Jesus. Even with their mess. Now, there's probably not a lot of people like that. I know people that are really unsafe to be around. I know many, we got a lot of people here, and one of the things I like about Life Church is it's safe to be around. Not that God doesn't challenge us. God challenges us to pursue him more, but we can do it in a way where we feel safe. Speaking of Gateway, I remember I was there, and we had, I guess I would call it a toxic couple in there, and they eventually got fired for manipulating funds, money from parishioners, and all kinds of crazy stuff that they were doing. And I remember they were so unsafe to be around. It was like you're always afraid because something's going to get pinned on you. You're going to get blamed for something. And so what happened in the office environment was nobody really felt safe. Like if you messed up, you would not want to tell anybody because you get blamed and then you look bad and all of this stuff. And I remember this so clearly because I remember I got to this point where I was like, I don't want to live this way. And they wanted my job, but I was like, you know what? I don't care if I get fired. I don't care if I look bad. I don't care. And I remember with my secretary, because I had made this decision, I was like, I want to be safe. And something happened, and I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just take the blame for that. Maybe it was my fault. You know what? Maybe I could have communicated it better. And I decided to handle it in a more kind of a gentle way. And I remember how it changed the whole atmosphere of that office. She was like, no, you know what? It was my fault. And all of a sudden, she felt safe. Just admit it. Instead of defending herself, she felt safe. I see, that's the one thing that's so great about Jesus, is that his kindness and gentleness and love, the way it is, it makes us feel safe to repent. We're not afraid to bring this up to God instead of being like, oh, you idiot. It's not like that. We're like, he's like, oh, you know what? All right. Yeah. Come on, let's go. Let's work this out. Let's get together. Let's fix this. Let's work on this. Let's get it right. Isn't that great? Isn't the Jesus we serve awesome? And that's a fruit of the Spirit that we can have. 2 Timothy chapter 2. It says, and the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness. God may perhaps grant them repentance leading to knowledge of the truth, and they may come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil after being captured by him to do his will. See, sometimes, and we've all been like this, sometimes we want to be right more than we want to help people get right. You know what I'm talking about? We've been there, we're like, I don't care. And it's like we're the surgeon, and the person's got a tumor inside, and we know it, and they're like, no, I don't. And we go, yeah, you do, right there, see it? They're like, you're right. And they die, right? And now they can't even address the tumor that is there, that is killing them, because now we just cut them open, and they're dying, and they need trauma surgery. You can laugh. It's all right. It's supposed to be funny, you know. Sometimes people like laugh at my jokes, and they're like, I'm like, don't worry, I was trying to get a laugh. All right. So, but it's true though. It's this trauma. And so instead of, we just want to be right, and we're right. And we cut it open in a harsh, not gentle way, and we're right. And now the person has the tumor and is dying. And you know what? We've all had that. Everyone, I guarantee you, if you've been in the church longer than a couple months, somebody said something happened, and it cut too deep. Sometimes it's by accident. So maybe it wasn't even at church, maybe it's at work, maybe it's a family member. We've all experienced it. And when that happens, it's so hard to deal with the tumor because we're bleeding to death. And we have to run to the ER and just get sewn up. And we got to recover from that before we can even go ahead and deal with the tumor. Gentleness says, you know what? I'm just going to cut right here. No more than I need to. It's still cutting. Sometimes it still hurts. They're like, I don't feel like gentle. Well, it's cutting, but it's cutting in a gentle way, and it's reaching and it's pulling that thing out. We got this snake. Show the picture of the snake, Elijah. A couple months ago, I was at a yard sale. You see this snake? Can you see it? Be like, yeah, that's enough. We are officially now the snake handling church. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But so anyway, I got this snake at a yard sale, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. And it was a good $40. And they're like, he's super friendly, and like I would hand him to me, and I didn't want to put him like in the back of my truck in the cage because I was like, that lid's gonna fly off, and he's gonna, So I was like, he's friendly. I put him around my neck. I drove home. See that one on the left is literally me at a traffic light. I took that picture with the snake on my head. And so I drove home with this friendly snake. He's this 5-foot python, and he's friendly. So I thought, and we get him home, and Zoe holds him for like 30 seconds or 5 seconds, and immediately her hand looked like a mouse and decided to try to eat her hand. And he bit her. And he latched on. And Zoe loves animals, reptiles of all kinds. She's She's got the love of Jesus more than me. And this thing latches on. It wasn't a defensive bite where they just do that. It was latched on. Its teeth were stuck in there. And we're like, what? And I'm, this thing was just on my head, driving with its face next to my eyeball. Oh my gosh. I don't think I can hold another snake again. Anyway, so this is what happened though. This thing is latched on to her hand. Show the picture of her hand afterwards. Yeah, you guys see it. Go ahead. Click. Oh, you don't have it? I thought I said it. Never mind. Not yet. All right. Anyway, she had all these bites. Anyway, we go to like pry this thing off, and she goes, "Don't hurt it. Don't hurt the snake." I'm like, I'm ready to just get the pliers. I'd be like, I could get a snake off a hand. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to get a snake off a hand gently. But she's like, don't hurt it. Why? Because she cared about it. And I think of that in that verse that I just read, the last part of 24 and verse 25. Patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness. That's Jesus. As he was being crucified, he's like, hey, Dad, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Don't hold this against them. Which is a whole other sermon, because that's another level of forgiveness. Asking God to forgive them instead of just saying, I forgive them. His whole time here on earth, Jesus is exemplifying gentle love. Even though, and that's sometimes we've been bitten by somebody, and it's really hard to have gentle love. Because they hurt us. It hurt. It's still hurting. That's why it's so great when it comes alongside with patience and humility and love. That's the fruit of gentleness. While it's still latched on, still caring enough to not hurt the offender. See, gentle love is not weak at all. It's crazy, crazy strong. It's like, doing surgery in the middle of an earthquake, and it's like precision instruments. Well, everything is going crazy all around us, and we're just getting it just right. That's gentle love. It's stronger than anything. Jesus was led to the slaughter. It says, like a lamb, he was led to the slaughter. Jesus, he hardly said anything. You know why? Because if he did, they wouldn't have crucified him. Because every time he talked, people hung on his words. If he spoke too much, they would have been like, forget it, I can't crucify this guy, he's amazing. So he's just like, I'm just going to receive, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to submit myself. And he was sacrificed. Galatians 6:1 says this, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. This was in the news, and it was even posted on Facebook. Caleb posted it on the Life Church wall. It's a great video, and I was already planning on showing this, so I didn't hit like because I didn't want y'all to see it, but I know everybody has seen this already. But I want to show you again. In Dallas, a police officer mistakenly killed somebody in their own home. They went into the wrong place. She shot the guy. He was innocent. He was watching TV, eating a bowl of ice cream. She didn't mean to do it, but still she did it. It's just a terrible situation. But at her sentencing, the brother of the man who died said this. I want you to watch this video.
Just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you. that's exactly what both of them would want you to do. And the best would be give your life to Christ. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please? Yes.
Wow. We only need forgiveness when we're guilty. That's gentle love right there. I mean, just think about it. I mean, this. The guy could have said anything. I've been in a hearing once, and they let you get up, and you can say whatever you want. The person's guilty. You can say whatever you want. You can say, I hope you rot in hell. Sometimes they say that. They say, I hope you suffer. I hope you die. Whatever. They can say it. He had power to say whatever he wanted. He had love and gentleness to show forgiveness. See, that is, just to see the way he did that was gentle. He was like, hey, you know what? I forgive you. I want the best for you. I love how he's like, tells the judge, he's like, can I hug her? The judge is like, I don't have a precedent for this. The judge is like, rattling, because you don't say yes right away. She's like, all right, Smith versus so-and-so. This, no, and I got no precedent for this. She's like, yeah, all right. Yes. Nobody ever asked, can I hug the person who murdered my brother? They don't say that. And she ran to that guy because she was sorry. She did it. You can't undo it. It happened. She desperately needed forgiveness. So powerful. That's the fruit of gentleness and the love of Christ. I read this definition of it. A word closely related meaning is magnanimous, defined as generous and forgiving, avoiding resentment or revenge. Colossians 3:12 says this, put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another. And if anyone has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. The gentle power of Christ's forgiveness is crazy powerful. Tell me that forgiveness that guy showed is not crazy powerful. That thing has already been around the world. I don't know how many million people have seen that. How many have already seen that video? Most of you, right? Some of you haven't. That's gentle. And it's more powerful than anything else he could have said. If he had just lashed out at her, we probably would have never seen it. The gentle, powerful love of Christ can change this world. That's why it says the meek will inherit the earth. Because it's amazing. How many want that kind of love? We just connect to Jesus. That's the only way. It's the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Let's stand.